to order. And as always, we start with the flag salute. Allison, would you like to lead us?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Allison. Okay, after the Pledge of Allegiance, we have approval of the agenda, and there's some changes. There'll be some changes made.
Just some updates to your agenda. If you, these are as of January 22nd. There's an update to the transfer request report. Updates to policies and procedures as noted from feedback. Those were some minor updates for 2410P, high school graduation requirements. 3246P, restraint, isolation, and other uses of reasonable force. 5010P, non-discrimination and affirmative action. 5642, administrative internships. Also added the WASDA Director 10 Legislative Committee representative to the annual organizational executive summary to make sure it is up to date and as correct as possible. And the tech services update scheduled for tonight has been postponed. Garen had to go back east to take care of an estate matter. So we will bring that back to you in a future board meeting. And those are the updates to the agenda.
I move approval of the agenda as amended.
Seconded. Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we do approve the agenda as amended this evening. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Okay, that's on. Next, we go to reports, correspondence, and program. And the very first person that gets to speak on this is Sue Ellen.
Hi. So we've been working on some stuff in ASB since I last saw you. The first thing we did was yesterday we had cocoa and cram after school. We had to move it to this week because there was just different things that were getting in the way of it. So yesterday after school we had free cocoa in the commons, and we had teachers come down, and we had tables so that students could come help get help with different subjects for finals and studying. So hopefully that helped out. We had a fairly good turnout for that. And then we've just been working on some stuff coming up. We've been trying to plan for Spirit Week for Tolo, so we handed out voting ballots for the Spirit Days at lunch so we can try and narrow it down depending on what the students want. So we're counting those up and seeing what the students want. And then we were trying to talk about what we want our next national holiday to be to celebrate. So we have some different ideas for February. And then the last thing just is that the senior class, ASB specifically, is putting a luau themed dance on Saturday. So we're trying to get the word out for that so that hopefully lots of students come. Thank you. That's everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next is, what is next? Oh, board reports. Okay, we'll start with, go down the line. Start with Allison.
All right, just a quick announcement that the 5th grade camp fundraiser is coming up on February 6th at Lincoln Middle School. It's a spaghetti feed and silent auction, and if you can't attend, I'm sure there's a way to donate through Pullman Education Foundation. That's it.
Thank you. Nathan?
Nothing to report.
Amanda? No report. Thank you. Jim?
No report this evening. Thank you.
You guys. All right. Well, me, who always has something to say. We have the deadline to sign up for legislative conference is the 24th of January. So if anybody you are interested to go over there, it's a Sunday, Monday thing. Sunday you go and you hear from legislators and representative from the governor and talk about what the agenda is coming up for this legislative session. And then on Monday you will go to the Hill and meet with our local representatives. So that's always kind of fun. Bond and levy presentations are tomorrow, 6:30 here in the boardroom, and then next Wednesday here in the boardroom. And then we have, what else? Oh, FFA alumni are putting on a fundraising dinner and auction, and that's at the Whitman County Fire District 12 Station 3 on the Wheeland Road in Pullman. And social hours at 4:30, dinner at 5:30. It's $30 a person. There'll be auction stuff and that sort of thing. And it's put on by the Pullman FFA alumni to help support the current FFA members. So that's kind of a neat thing. And then, you're going to talk about the Japanese visit.
I can, yes.
Yes, please. Since I can't pronounce the words. Okay, there we go. That is my report. Now
All right.
it's your turn.
So I will start with, we have a Japanese delegation that would be visiting Pullman High School next week, and we do have a memorandum of understanding in the packet, an MOU, and that's for a student exchange 2 to 3 week program between Okisho High School in Okinawa and Pullman High School. We've been working on this for almost a year, and so they send students every summer. And this past summer, they sent about 75 students, and we also had the opportunity to get them together with some of our high school and middle school students to do some games and activities and have a picnic last summer, and that was very successful. There's also the opportunity for an ongoing year-long exchange, but we're going to start with maybe a 2 to 3 week. So we'll have a signing of that MOU, and then we'll have an opportunity. They want to do a presentation to the staff, and then a presentation to parents who might be interested in a short exchange. And so there will be a flyer going out at the end of this week to notify parents. So it's a great partnership and opportunity. They've had a long-standing partnership with WSU for at least 30 years. So moving on, just another reminder that you should have in your folder tonight a summary of our WASDA 2019 Leadership Conference reflections from November. So just a reminder as we proceed through the year, just to keep these things in mind, and there may be some other things that we want to go deeper on as a board. So just a refresher, reminder. So I wanted to make sure you were aware of that. I also want to just do a brief update on our Professional Learning Day that happened on Friday, the 17th of January. I believe each of you received an electronic copy of all the offerings that were provided. And I do want to send out a shout out and a thank you to not only everyone that organized the professional development, but all the presenters as well. We had a number of in-house staff do presentations, as well as outside staff or outside presenters. Roberta actually designed the new paraeducation standards training for our paraeducators, and her team did a fantastic job providing PD to approximately 52 paraeducators. So very well received, and so just a wonderful day, a lot of work to put something like this on, but really looking forward to the evaluations. I know they're still coming in, but initial review of those looks like another very, very positive evaluation for that Professional Learning Day. So I wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. So I have that. Also want to make a note that today I received from Tim Schatzko, our CTE welding and woods instructor. It was fun that we had regional competition. There were 24 welding competitors. We sent 6 students. Noah Hutton, Elijah Golnick tied for first place. Aiden Boylan took 3rd place. Cody Ryan took 5th. Logan Keaton, a senior but a first-year welder, which is really half a year, took 6th place.
Wow, that's awesome.
So want to send a shout out not only to those students that did an amazing job in competition, but the instructor as well. So well done all the way around.
Yes.
So so stay tuned. I'm sure we'll have some more highlights and news.
Do we know how many other schools in the region compete in welding?
I don't know, but I'll try to find
Because if
out.
we sent 6 and there were 24 competitors,
Yeah. My guess there's probably 4 or 5 other schools with welding programs approximately, but I can find out that information.
just be curious.
And sometimes they only send 1 student, Sometimes they may send more than one. So.
Okay, that's wonderful news.
Yes. So great news. There's also an opportunity to, of course, move on to state and possibly international competitions. So well done. With that, I have one more report that I do want to share. And hopefully you haven't forgotten, but January is School Board Appreciation Month. And so there's a proclamation from Governor Inslee. So whereas the mission of Washington's public school system is to assure that all students achieve at high levels and possess the knowledge and skills to be responsible citizens of a democratic society who enjoy productive and satisfying lives, and whereas Washington's 295 locally elected school boards and 9 elected educational service district boards are the core of the public education governance system in our state, and whereas the districts and regions they lead serve more than 1 million students, have a combined annual budget of $15 billion, and employ approximately 120,000 people. And whereas school directors play a crucial role in promoting student learning and achievement by creating a vision, establishing policies and budgets, and setting clear standards of accountability for all involved. And whereas school directors are directly accountable to the citizens of their districts and regions, serving as a vital link between members of the community and their schools. And whereas school directors and educational service districts provide a passionate voice of advocacy for public schools and the welfare of school children. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize school directors as outstanding volunteers and champions for public education. Now, therefore, I, Jay Inslee, Governor of the State of Washington, do hereby proclaim January 2020 as School Board Recognition Month. In Washington, I encourage all people in our state to join me in this special observance. So, congratulations and well done. So, wait, there's more. So, we have for each of you a certificate of recognition. So we would like to
Suitable for framing.
get a picture up front. So I'm going to ask you all to take a moment to stand up here, and we're going to give you your certificates and take a little photo opportunity.
Don't all rush up here.
Now get close together. Don't be shy. Susan, I want to thank you for your service.
geez, thank you.
Jim, your service. Thank you. Allison.
Thank you.
And Amanda. So, School Board Appreciation. Make sure they're smiling. Better take 2.
It's a lot easier to do, and I usually have to do it with 3 little kids, so you guys can do it. Oh, thanks.
Nice that we've learned something over the years.
Thank you, Bob. You are welcome, and thank you for your service. You all work very, very hard to make this a great district to be a part of. So, a small token of our appreciation.
Thank you. Anything more?
I like all the attention.
So, right now we're going to do program
Positive
reports.
Oh, program reports, okay.
So the first one, technology service, we're not doing tonight. So we'll go down to ELD program.
Oh. Perfect. Take your time.
Good evening. So you have before you a reformatted program report. I think we're going to probably go with this version in the future. It captures the information, and I think it's very appropriate. So related to enrollment with our English language development program, you see that the first section, and I felt like this should have been labeled a little bit better, is the 2019-2020 school year. So you'll see that their CAMYAC is included in the orange. And you'll see that from 2015-16, when we had 194 students, to now we have 145 students. I think that we're attributing that to changes at the university around the number of international students. So that's just something that we're experiencing. However, it seems like our staff, which we have increased, is busier than ever with the way that the ELD grant is laid out and things like that. Budget expenditures, you can see where we are as far as we have $267,619. Our expenses are $110,767. Actually, we're going to end up at $267,619. Actually, overspend ELD. Some of that will probably come out of curriculum because this year we have 2 full-time paras as well as 2 full-time teachers to meet the needs by adding that 6th school. We needed to have more staff to be able to get everywhere that we're going. And then the federal Title III, that's primarily focused on professional development. And so you can see our budget and our expenditures there as well. Like I said, we increased our staffing this year to have, I believe, a much better staffing model with the 2 paraeducators and 2 certificated teachers. On the back page, that really is the data that we kind of live off of, and that's really around English language proficiency rate. And so we look at a proficiency rate, we also look to growth because we want to be looking to see our students growing from one level to another. And as is typical, at the secondary level in 2018-19, our students didn't grow to the same degree that they did at elementary, and that's not an unusual thing to have happen, but you can see how we do in relationship to the state, and I feel very confident that our program will continue to outpace the state dramatically. Our goals are in professional development. Like I said, the Title III grant is all related to professional development, and that's in the preparing a SIOP cohort at Jefferson last summer, and we will do a new school to be announced for this next summer. So we had a cohort of, I believe, 9 teachers that were trained in SIOP, which is a specific planning and delivery model around meeting the needs of students who are English learners. And that was really well received. We did it 2 days. Isabel Haller-Gretz led that. She's amazing. Everybody, she's just amazing. And so that went really well. And so we look to do that same model again this coming summer. Parent and community engagement. We hold a ELD Family Literacy Night. That was recently at Kamiak. There was some, I believe, in the last Teaching and Learning newsletter that might have just come out today. There was information related to that. We do it this year for the first time. We did a parent and family Q&A night. So parents that were new to the program or children, parents of continuing children had the opportunity to come and meet with staff and ask questions. We did it at Jefferson. Next year we're going to do it host it at 2 different schools to try to increase opportunities for families. And then we do an annual ELD Family and Cultural Celebration. When I started, that was our one event, and the staff are so enthusiastic that we've added 2 more. And now we're doing more than just an annual ELD newsletter. We're trying to do that more frequently as well. So really trying to increase the amount of communication. And then we do a parent survey annually, and then that data is collected, and then we do an analysis in that program advisory committee just to take a look at feedback and ways that we can improve programming. That was one of the reasons we went to the Q&A night, was because we got feedback about, I'm not really sure what my child's doing. And so we really wanted to provide that opportunity. We tried to add the survey into the family literacy night to try to get more respondents. That wasn't as successful as we had hoped, so we're going to again take a look at how we can elicit more survey responses. You can see the number of languages in our ELD program. The very tiny slivers are probably one student, but Spanish has taken over Arabic. Arabic was our number one language spoken, and now it's Spanish, Arabic, Chinese unspecified, Korean, Vietnamese, and Portuguese as our highest number of students, and then after that we have, I think we ended up with 42, but I'm not positive on that because I can't count all those little things and I don't have it right in front of me. But so I'm happy to answer any questions. I feel like this program is sailing full speed ahead, that we're really doing some noticeable, we have a noticeable impact on student achievement. So
Good.
Thank you,
you.
Roberta.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, next is Dr. Maxwell reporting on PTAs, PTOs, Booster Club stuff.
Yes, thank you. Right on here. Just one moment here, if you bear with me. So one of the things that we had talked about in our board retreat last summer was kind of the number of different reports and updates. So this is a brand new report and update, and so I'm trying out this platform to see how this works. So what we've done is we've contacted our PTA, PTO, and booster clubs just to kind of ask them to provide us with some highlights thus far this year, just to give the board maybe a deeper understanding of across the school district what are some of the events, not all by any means, but what are some of the highlights that are occurring with our PTA, PTO, and booster clubs. So we'll go through that. So Kamiak Elementary, this is their first year, and so Kamiak has been very, very busy getting started off the ground. A couple of their highlights that they shared are the Kestrel Closet. Again, this is to help students that may be in need of clothing, and that typically happens around this time of year with the cold weather, and also sorted toiletry items if needed. They hosted a free book fair, so that was set up similar to Scholastic, and children were able to shop for their own free books. They didn't have to pay, they received it free. So, and then, of course, they have the spectacular trunk and treat, which I know was very popular because my neighborhood filled up quickly with cars, and parking was at a premium. So very, very popular event. Also, and this is very new, this is a Winter Wonderland Ball that'll be coming up on the 31st. And so, again, that's an opportunity for students to kind of have a semi-formal family dance event. So we'll see how that, really looking forward to see how that progresses. At Franklin, they too have been extremely busy. I was at their PTA meeting last night. So, so far this year, they've done various fundraisers. Book People of Moscow Book Fair. They also have already had a reading-a-thon family night. A movie night. So I think this was one of the first movie nights, and they had over 40 attend. Again, they award teacher grants, and so that's always very, very popular. And so they've had an upcoming science fair and assembly that'll be just around the corner. And so you can see that they have a host of other things. I also attended the Reflection art contest reception, which was extremely well attended. With the number of students less this year, they thought they'd have less participation. They actually had more in the number of entries and folks that attended. So again, you can see quite a variety, and there's a couple of pictures to go along. Coming soon, Family Fun Day, Carnival, Science Fair, Rockathon, 5th grade talent show. That's always interesting, and of course Field Day. Jefferson Elementary PTA, again, very, very, very busy group. So jump up for Jefferson. monthly movie nights, and that's been pretty standard at Jefferson for quite a while. They also do quite well with their box top drive as well, so very, very active. Sunnyside, again, PTO. Superstar, their Move-a-thon is one of their best attended and best event for collecting money, and many of the elementaries have moved to more of a Move-a-thon for fundraiser. They also do donuts and books, which is very, very popular. Coming soon, they traditionally have done a talent show. They also have family movie nights, and their career day is extremely popular, and I do believe Jefferson's looking at the possibility of maybe doing a type of career day as well from some of the conversations. Of course, let's not forget one of the ultimate events for all of our elementary PTA and PTO, and that's the spaghetti feed, which is coming up February 6th, so I would definitely encourage folks to come from 5:30 to 7:30, so a nice different span, so you don't all have to come at the beginning. You can come anytime between there for some wonderful food and an opportunity to support our 5th grade camp education experience. Lincoln Middle School Booster Club, again, very, very busy with the Scholastic Book Fair, which is an ongoing and very, very popular at the middle school. The 7th and 8th grade dance. Staffing at the Spartan store, they do a lot of work with obtaining useful items for students to use connected to school in their student store, and that's very much. They also put on quite a staff appreciation lunch during conference week, concession stand at athletic events, and staff appreciation. So they're doing quite a few things at Lincoln Middle School as well. And last but not least is Pullman Booster Committee, and so quite a few highlights. Their membership is up, and so they've sold more booster passes this year than in previous years. They also had quite the fall auction, and I was able to attend that along with a lot of other people, and that was quite an event, and Allison was there as well.
And Susan
It was amazing. I will have to say, just to put in a plug for my daughter, because she did do one of the cakes and it sold for like $600, so she was very excited for a good cause. So students, again, volunteering at Building Supply with Christmas tree sales, selling football, volleyball, basketball, wrestling events, all kinds of PHS gear. So far, they've granted $22,830 to the list on the right, which is a variety from boys and girls swim, sophomore class, yearbook, dance team, on and on, muse, writing club. So again, you can see that those dollars that are donated are spent very, very well and support our students' Key Club just across the board. So just thought we'd include this quote from Danielle. So we consider ourselves lucky to be part of a community that is so supportive of boosters, which truly benefits the students and PHS. And you could say that for every PTA and PTO in this district. They all do just an outstanding job helping us to enrich the lives of our students and staff. So again, feedback's appreciated to this. This is the first time we've kind of done this, but
I like it.
happy to
Thank you.
receive any feedback, or if you want some other information, please just let me know. So it was kind of fun putting that together. So
Does this go back to the individual PTO, PTAs?
we'll share that back with them. So
Yeah.
they provided the original information, so
But this
we
way they
definitely
get
can
to
send
see
it back.
what
and we
everybody
get to
else
see
is
it.
doing.
other
Some of it was narrative, some of it was bullet point, but
Yeah.
Courtney made it look really nice.
Yeah.
So I got to give credit where credit is
Good
due.
job, Courtney. Thank you.
Of course, I always had.
No, we didn't.
I provided critical feedback to the design and development of the PowerPoint. I proved it. So, any other questions? So,
No, thanks. I
Again,
think
trying
that's
something
really
different
helpful.
and
Yeah,
new.
No, I
it's
like
kinda
that.
neat.
I think they'll appreciate the.
It's always nice to know what's going on in
there.
our schools.
I just thought it'd be fun to,
Yeah.
all right.
All right, next is the visitors section, and this part of the agenda is for anyone wishing to speak before the board, either as an individual or as a member of a group. Visitors wishing to speak must sign in on the visitor sign-in sheet. Visitors addressing the board will go to the microphone and state their name and address prior to presenting their information. The board will listen and may offer clarification, but will not discuss the topic at this time. The board may consider moving the topic presented to a future meeting date as a discussion item. Please keep your comments civil and respectful, and limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Individual speakers may not gift their time to other speakers. And we see nobody has signed up, so we'll just move right along to the consent agenda. And the consent agenda is to help us expedite business at a board meeting. The board approves the use of the consent agenda, which includes items considered to be routine in nature. Any item which appears on the consent agenda may be removed from the consent agenda by a member of the board and voted on separately. The remaining items will be voted on by a single motion. This includes minutes of our January 8th meeting, personnel report, personal services contracts, warrants, budget status reports, transfer requests, record destruction log, memorandum of agreement with the Shogakukan education. I'm so sorry. I do not speak Japanese. I apologize. I can do French. All right. Well, Education Foundation, and then also the other additions that you mentioned earlier. So, someone wants to
I move
approve?
approval of the
Thank you,
consent
Jim.
agenda.
All right.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda this evening. All those in favor, please
Aye.
signify by saying aye. Thank you. Any opposed? Same sign. Thanks. There we go. Now we get to the action items. And we have the Lincoln Middle School Design and Development Report, which we all saw last time with Ned Warnick.
Yes, and
Design
so I'll be presenting for Ned tonight and Joe, since both of them are not here. So, but again, you had an opportunity to hear from Ned himself at the last board meeting. They've completed the design development stage of the project. Again, based on the education specs collected from district staff, also from the community as well. This schematic design was presented to the board. You had an opportunity to kind of look that over. So what we're asking for is your approval tonight to move on.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions of Bob? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I did like the way Ned presented the information and kept us informed throughout. And then I wanted to comment that the measures on the ballot coming forward, good. I think this is good for the public to understand. So,
And the schematic has also been sent out as an informational item as well.
oh,
And there will be posters also at Lincoln Middle School for visitors to see.
so the schematic is sent out like this, public mail?
Similar, yeah, it will be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've already sent the drawings he gave us to several people that were asking, so yeah, it's very, very useful. And I like the approach that they're taking of trying to do this, you know, like on the fly, I guess, one way to put it, but it's been very helpful.
I'm still concerned about the traffic pattern, but I think we'll wait a year and see how it resolves.
Yes, yeah.
I'm not quite sure it's as clean as everyone thinks it's going to be.
I think it'll be
It'll
an
be
upgrade,
improvement.
and I don't think any parking drop-off zone will ever be perfect, no matter what school you're at.
No, it's the egress back onto Spring.
That road is going to be kind of weird, I think, because once they open City Hall, there's no telling how much traffic is going
Right.
to be on it, you know, so I think that's going to be something we'll have to find out.
Yeah,
So
so
I will just point
I'll
out.
wait patiently.
Yeah, probably every day on the road.
We can just put Bob in a little orange vest and have him out there.
Yeah.
Or Ned.
Or Ned, yes.
So this, we have a poster of this that'll be out. We've also put some information out with this schematic, and we've also sent one out to a mailer with this schematic as well.
Good.
As an information item.
Good.
Just so you're aware.
I just once again want to thank the committee that put this all together, that our Citizens Committee just did a spectacular job of paring it down to the bare minimum, so we're not asking for, like, plush throne rooms or anything like that. We're just simple, but I've served on the OSPI Citizens Advisory Panel for school construction for the past several years, and all of the things that are being fixed with this bond and levy are things that have been pointed out time and time again by architects and value engineers and all these other people that deal with school construction, and how important it is to provide a high quality at learning space for our kids. It really, really makes a difference on the education process. So I just hope this works, but it's pretty exciting. So, all right.
I move approval of the Lincoln Middle School Design and Development Report.
Second?
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that we do approve the Lincoln Middle School Design and Development Report. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you. We'll get moving on that project as soon as we finish with the election results. So,
Okay, and next is the annual organizational meeting representatives and committee assignments. And that is
that's me
you.
as well. So,
Yes.
again, this was presented in your packet. We did, this was one of the agenda updates I mentioned before at the beginning of the meeting today. So I believe this reflects all the correct information regarding committee representatives and other committees for information. So I'm submitting this to you for final approval.
Okay. Anybody object to all your assignments out there? Got a whole lot of people doing a lot of things. Except there's policy. Okay, good. All right.
I'd move that we approve the annual organizational meeting assignments.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we do approve the annual organizational meeting representatives and committee assignments. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. All right. Now we're on to proposed agenda, consent agenda 1420.
Yes, and that's me again.
Yes, it is.
So, let me open up the exec summary for it, just a moment. So again, policy 1420 is our proposed agenda consent agenda is presented for review. This is one of our policies that we are updating to fall in alignment with the WASDA recommendation. So there was some vocabulary, the shall to will, language regarding posting of the agenda. The consent agenda, again, clarifies the placement of the consent agenda items on the board packet, clarifies the process for removal of consent agenda item. Basically, it says the exact same thing as our previous, but it just words it to be in alignment with WASDA. And then, of course, the cross-references, legal references were updated as well. Let me pull that up if you like.
Is there any mention on there of new business, old business?
Just
Any place for discussion of the board?
I'll pull that up for you.
Seems to be sometimes there should be, board members have something they want to ask about.
Yes, so
As long as it's not out of
I'm
the
looking
blue.
at that. So board secretary is responsible for putting that. Each information will be delivered. The proposed agenda for regular special meetings will be posted not less than 24 hours prior. To expedite business, if the board approves the use of consent agenda, which includes those items considered to be routine, consent agenda will appear on a regular agenda. Any item which appears on the consent agenda may be removed on a request by a member of the board and placed on the regular agenda. The remaining items on the consent agenda will be voted on by single motion. Approved motion will be recorded in the minutes, including a list of all items appearing on the consent agenda.
Okay, so it doesn't regulate you too much of what you can have on the agenda.
Right.
Okay,
Yep.
well then we'll be discussing, I think. It seems to me that there are times when, I mean, it's an open public meeting, we're all constricted by the open public meeting, so there's not times when we can just sit around and discuss things if you have a question or a concern. So it might not hurt to have like an old business, new business item on that we don't have to use, but if it's there, though I would recommend it would be something that somebody is warned about. In other words, if you want to bring something up, you would talk to Dr. Maxwell, so we're not out of the blue hit with things, but give us a little chance.
So if you do have something on the consent agenda and you want to bring that,
No, discussion item would be, yeah.
you can bring that take it out of the consent agenda and place it onto the agenda.
Oh, I'm just talking about any other questions you may have about.
Oh, I see.
Sounds like you're talking about board planning.
Well,
And
no,
there's-
not really. There's some things, once in a while, there's just something you want to be able to talk about, and there's no place to do it.
Well, for the board to talk about it, though,
Yes.
it would have to be posted on an agenda, or
Right.
we really couldn't talk
Right,
about it.
but I would think
So-
that there could be like, new business, old business, like there is in every other organization that I've been on.
Right.
But it just would be, I would like it to be something where, according to our board protocol, we need to, you don't have any surprises. But if you have a question about something that you think, you want to know from how the other board members feel, or what they think, we can't do it any
As long
other
as we don't
way.
take action, we could do that, correct? I mean,
We can't do it any other way, because it's
I'm
open public
intrigued, I'm
meeting.
not sure,
Yeah.
I don't know, but I also don't think we can actually talk, we can't really have a discussion about something that's not on the agenda.
Right, so
So-
that's why I wanted to have it
Right.
on the agenda.
So, that's why I think it's even in our conference reflections, some boards have had to develop a procedure for how do you, put something on the agenda or bring something into the forefront
Correct.
when it's
Right.
not on the agenda. And so, that might be something that we'll need to develop,
Well,
the right
that's
way
what-
to do
yeah.
it, whether it's new business or in your own board report or
Sure.
whatever it is, or contact the board president ahead of time and say, I'm really interested in this, can you get some more information and bring it back to us, or
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Well, that's why I wanted to see, if there was mentioned in this.
Yeah.
In my
Yeah, I think
vision.
there's not, because it has to be posted, but you could definitely say, I'd like to know more about X at the upcoming board meeting. We could put that on as a planning discussion item.
Yeah, it would be a discussion
another
item.
route.
Yes, yeah,
So,
it's
okay.
just to
Well,
plan
they're
it ahead
just-
of time so that
yeah.
it is a discussion item.
All right, thank you. So, there we are. Is there a motion to approve?
I move we approve changes to policy 1420, proposed agenda and consent agenda.
second.
It's moved second that we do approve 1420 proposed agenda and consent agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Thank you. All right, next is 2155, Student Services Team, and this would be a deletion of a policy.
Yes, so as I presented to you, the last board meeting, the suggestion is to delete policy 2155, Student Services Team, because that language is included in 2163, which relates to response to intervention, which was updated in May of 2012. So I would recommend that we delete this policy.
I move we delete policy 2155, student services team.
Second?
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that we do delete policy 2155, Student Services Team. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next is Student Services Experiencing Homelessness Enrollment Rights and Services. That's policy 3115.
So 3115 has not included any changes since we last met. It changes the title from homeless students to students experiencing homelessness. Includes some minor updates related to format and punctuation, as we have inappropriate punctuation yet. I love that, actually. Further, as you remember, we elect to include informed consent for healthcare section, and so some details related to that. So I would ask that we adopt that policy as presented.
Thank you. Or any questions of Roberta? Any discussion? Would someone like to make a motion?
Move that we approve policy 3115, students experiencing homelessness.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that we do approve policy 3115, students experiencing homelessness, enrollment rights and services. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign? Okay, got it. Thank you. Next is policy 5409, unpaid holidays for reason of faith or conscience.
So again, this policy is an essential WASDA policy that we do not currently have in place, and it just explains the process on how an employee would take unpaid leave for faith or conscience. And so we're just asking the board to approve this essential policy.
Thank you. Any questions of Diane?
I move that we approve policy 5409, unpaid holidays for reason of faith or conscience.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we do approve policy 5409, unpaid holidays for reasons of faith or conscience. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next we have, thank you all, policy 6101, federal cash and financial management.
Again, this is another WASDA essential policy that we do not currently have as a policy, but we do practice these policies and procedures. It's basically just putting it in writing, so we do have it as a policy.
I move we adopt policy 6101, federal cash and financial management.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we do approve policy 6101, federal cash and financial management. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Policy has passed. All right, next, we have 6106, allowable costs for federal programs.
They just keep getting better.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so our final essential WASDA policy that we currently do not have in place, and it just kind of explains the overseeing of our federal grants and administration. Again, these are our practices that we currently have in place, we just don't have it in writing, and so we would like to adopt the WASDA essential policy.
Thank you.
I move we adopt policy 6106, allowable costs for federal programs.
Thank you, Allison. Second. Okay, thank you, Amanda. It's been moved and seconded that we do approve policy 6106, allowable costs for federal programs. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
And for those of you that are here for your civics class, these are all discussed at the prior meeting, and so it gives us all 2 weeks to figure out what if we like what's going on or we don't like what's going on, that sort of thing. So as you'll see now, we're going into discussion items, and those will be discussed and then approved or not approved at our next meeting in 2 weeks. So next is our big list of discussion items.
So I have the first
That's
one.
you.
That's me. So I'll start with policy 1621, district organization. So it's been a while since we've updated this, and so as we're going through and aligning our WASDA policies, we provided a slightly more improved chart that's a little more accurate and color-coded than the previous chart, which was done, by the way, by hand-drawing Word program. So this is a little more sophisticated. And I will have to thank Courtney.
But you're not throwing it back to Bob again? Oh, Courtney did this. All right.
It's much more colorful. So
Thank you. Oh, well, look at that. It is pretty.
administrative is in blue, and pink highlights the
Did have
associated support items.
a few questions. And here, the flow chart appears to show the assistant superintendent and the superintendent both deriving their authority from the board. And so, I mean, are we responsible for both the assistant superintendent and the superintendent, or just, because my understanding was just the super and then you are responsible for...
Yeah.
That's correct.
You're in charge of
So
Roberta.
I would recommend we change the org chart slightly.
The arrow.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, maybe pull board out and then super and then assistant and then... Okay, I touched
Oh, wait,
mine,
now
it's
I'm
on
good.
now.
There you go.
But
So now you guys just need to turn them on. Turn on your blue button. I must have,
Don't mess with it.
So in addition to moving the arrow
charge of
for assistant, the line taking super to director of special services is kind of confusing. Just because I thought the director of special services was under the assistant superintendent.
It is, it's
And
correct.
so you may want to delete that little guy there too, just for clarity.
so when Courtney and I were working on this, that was exactly, like, we had it like that once, but it's more of a spacing issue. So, yeah, we just need to go back and rework on that,
You giant
rework
circles.
that. But we were having that conversation, we were trying to get the TOSAs and all, we were trying to get everybody into all of that, and then,
And I do really appreciate getting everyone though, including all of the, administrative personnel and, maintenance staff.
Yeah, and some of these were not necessarily on the last one, so again, it was trying to, again, I think fit the spacing in, but I appreciate these because it's very helpful.
Oh,
Because
yeah, I
after
think
we-
the visual is also people would focus in on that and go, well, why aren't, it would just lead to misunderstandings.
Yeah, we will take that and see if we can clear that up based on your feedback, so. Are there anything else that we could make a little clearer?
You like this. It's very, very helpful.
It's better than it was, but again, when you start getting all these arrows and trying to figure out who does what, it's hard to fit it onto a piece of paper, so we appreciate that feedback. So we will try to bring that into a clearer understanding for the next board meeting. Appreciate that, thank you.
Would
I just
that
like flow
eventually
charts.
be posted on the web,
It could, typically it's
internal?
but there's no reason it can't be, so.
Well, I wouldn't mind a copy. I think these are the kind of things that are really helpful when you're talking to constituents.
Yep, absolutely. We can definitely provide you a copy as soon as, we'll try to move this out, get rid of this one, and see if we can fix this so it's a little more clear.
Well, and honestly, people that experience problems with any number of these folks, it's very helpful to know who they need to go to
Yeah,
to deal with those, or even, to compliment them, or to just deal with whatever they need to do. It's very helpful to know they don't just go to the superintendent immediately. There's several layers of people
Correct.
in between that they could then address their issues with.
absolutely.
yeah, and I think part of our challenge when Courtney and I were talking about this is that both Bob and I supervise principals. And so that's trying to
why
get the
you
lines, so you see, that's why it's a little complicated, it's just more complex because we're a small district doing both of us are doing multiple things, so that's probably why that's, yeah, so, but Courtney is really she's a genius figuring this out.
Courtney.
It's a high bar now. Okay, it's a high bar.
Wow.
We expect
Wow.
great things.
Okay.
Great, all right.
Go home now.
Well, not
know I
until you
believe
finish
that.
your job here, but that's fine. Okay.
Any
Well,
other-
Thank you. Any other questions?
Suggestions? So we'd be happy, once we get this to your preference, then we'll make sure that you also get copies of this, so, because I think it is
Perfect.
helpful.
Very handy. Next up is Dr. Kramer, 3247, required notification of isolation or restraint of students with IEPs or 504s.
Okay, the content in this policy has been incorporated into policy 3246, restraint, isolation, and other uses of reasonable force, which was updated in August of 2017. So making it appropriate to delete this policy. This is just a part of our cleanup of our
Okay.
policies.
So it's just a redundant,
Yes.
all right?
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions about this? All right. Well, while you're there, we can delete maybe another one, which is 4323, endorsement of educational materials.
This policy, not real sure what it was, why it was there, That
It's
is
pretty
part of.
extensive, too.
Right,
I was gonna say, it's more of a statement than a policy, I would say.
It seems like I'm up here for one sentence item. And this one is in 2020, which we have all spent a lot of time in revising in the last couple of years, and so it's not appropriate for us to continue with this policy either.
Thank you, Roberta.
And, there we go. Next is Dr. Maxwell, unless
I
you
have
want
a few more, so I'll wait for him.
You can just wander around until it's your turn again. It's 5005, 5005, employment and
Five.
volunteers, disclosure, certification requirements, assurances, and approval.
There you go. So, policy 5005, employment and volunteers, disclosure, certification requirements, assurances, and approval. This is an essential WASDA policy which focuses on the documentation and reporting of requirements associated with hiring staff members and/or listing the help of volunteers. This is a new policy for the district, but it contains information currently outlined in policy 5111, employment of staff. So we're recommending that we switch to the WASDA updated version of the employment and volunteers disclosure certification requirements, assurances, and approval.
You just did a twofer there, that's pretty nice.
Yeah, so this is a much more comprehensive policy than our current 5111.
I think this is the policy that I had no comments on, which is rare.
Very rare.
I thought you might have missed it.
Small one, it was a big one.
Usually it's the
It's
first.
actually
That's
really
the
well
first.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would, encourage you, of course, I know you've looked it over, but I think it is pretty well done, and it encapsulates all in our older version of this, which is frankly outdated, the 5111.
Thank you.
Okay?
So, any other questions about this? All right, next is 5642, administrative internships.
Oh, that's gonna be me too, so hold
Yeah.
on. I think, let me see where I'm at here. Here we go. Oops, two of this one. All right, here we are. Sorry, I had to get to my notes. All right, so as part of the ongoing review of existing policies, we looked at 5642 administrative internships. So it's reviewed and been updated to align with WASDA's 5642. Changes are primarily grammatical in nature, so I will point out that credentials, it had may, will be approved. It said by the superintendent, will be approved on an individual basis. And it gets down to if recommended by a screening committee, not the leadership team. So we don't, that's not a leadership team function, it's a screening committee that is made up of members from the
I was
leadership
gonna ask,
team.
yeah, who is the screening?
So, and the superintendent or designee, rather than the supervising administrator, is responsible for scheduling the necessary release times. Typically, that's going to be done at the building level by the building principal, not necessarily the superintendent. And then we took out his or her and put their supervisor.
Nathan asked who is the screening committee?
So the screening is primarily leadership team members. So that would primarily be a building principal, district representative. Because these are typically teachers seeking to do an administrative internship.
So is this a standing committee then?
It's only called upon when we get an application to do an internship. So it convenes as needed.
Does WASDA have any recommendations on non-administrative personnel on the committee? I mean, like a teacher representative or?
Not to my knowledge that they have that.
Yeah, thank you.
Typically, the process is, it goes through an application process through a university, and then the university will typically ask the administrators, is this person recommended, do you recommend this person to seek an internship with the college or university, and then to do an internship within your district. So it's more of a kind of an application process. So typically you wouldn't find necessarily a peer in that screening process for this particular, because it's semi-district but also college application.
So they
If
go
that
through
makes
the
sense.
college first, and then you basically provide input to the
Right.
college on the process.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying.
So they're getting credit or not?
Typically they're, depending on the program, it could be credit associated with the internship. Typically it's, or it could be part of a class.
Okay. But we're getting a free person who's working in the building.
We get the opportunity to have that person experience the administrative functions and duties.
Okay.
And typically they get some, it's kind of a grant for a number of days for a substitute, so
Oh,
they have to apply to the state also to get that. And so typically they're awarded
It's never
up to
free.
20 days throughout the year to be substituted out to participate in administrative functions.
And I would suggest that the number of credits don't even come close to the amount
Oh,
of work that they do.
sure.
No, and the number of hours is
Yeah.
quite extensive, so.
Yeah.
So
Do we
it's,
have any doing that now?
we have a CTE internship currently, and it's
Jill Bickle.
Jill Bickelhoff, thank you.
Oh.
So she's doing, she will be doing a CTE internship with Chris Franklin. That's the only current one that we have.
Okay. Any other questions on this internship policy?
Thank you, Bob.
Okay.
No, you're welcome.
All right, next is policy 6430, professional association memberships.
Okay, this policy has been deleted by WASDA. It's appropriate to delete it because what the policy speaks to is that an administrator needs to belong to or needs to participate in a professional organization to which they pay membership. We require that. We pay the dues, and that's a benefit that they have, but our expectation is that they participate related to that association. So that's a job expectation.
So you don't need it as a policy then?
No, we don't need it as a policy.
Okay. Any questions? Any further discussion? Okay, next is,
That policy was from 1991.
I
Just
remember
wanted to
that
make a
year.
side note,
Yeah,
so.
okay. It's,
It's older than all of our buses now.
6431.
This one, I think it's interesting, first off, the numbering is unusual, that we would go from 6430 related to association memberships to professional growth. I'm sure it's all used to have to do with principals. So this policy is no longer a relevant policy, and professional development opportunities for our administrators are quite abundant, and they're provided based on district needs, on individual needs and interests, and it's something that Bob and I work with each of our principals on, and also collectively on professional development that they recognize that they need as a whole. So it's not appropriate to have a policy related to this.
Thank you, Liz.
Okay. Any other questions on that one? Okay,
Just a comment, that's another 1991
Saw that, yeah, Bob.
thank you.
flashback, so.
So, no executive session?
I know that breaks your heart, but no, there is none.
All right, is the rest on the agenda is just informational items for us, and I think that's it. So we can have a motion to adjourn.
Wait, did we just finish board meeting in an hour? Really?
Hey.
I move that we adjourn this meeting.
I don't mess around.
1 hour and 4 minutes, to be exact.
An hour sounds good.
Second.
All right, there. It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Congratulations, you came to the shore.